She entered the billionaire family's private estate with calm eyes. Yet every corner felt like a stage prepared to measure her worth. And when the white heirs whispered mocking jokes about her skin, her company, and her journey from a single-room childhood, she kept her shoulders still, hiding the rising storm behind her polite smile because she understood that powerful people laughed hardest before they lost. They expected her to bend, to feel small, to sign whatever they placed before her, but she listened quietly as they joked that she must be lucky to sit with them, unaware that her silence was not weakness but a blade sharpening inside her. And while they boasted about controlling markets, she remembered the faces of workers they had crushed and the communities they exploited. Then her gaze locked on their patriarch, who smirked and assured her that ownership would remain theirs even after the $900 million deal, unaware that beneath her calm breath she was preparing a twist that would turn their arrogance into ashes and teach them that the woman they mocked held the power to end everything they believed they owned. She had spent years building her tech empire from a cramped apartment, where night after night screens glowed and hunger echoed, and every challenge had carved iron into her bones. She arrived for the meeting with hope, knowing the deal could fuel schools, jobs, and equality. But as the family's laughter thickened, she recognized the same old prejudice that once tried to tell her where she belonged. And instead of reacting, she let their arrogance expose itself like a slow crack in glass. While she spoke with measured confidence about innovation, fairness, and shared growth, yet the heirs dismissed her insights as beginner's luck, insisting that she needed their name more than they needed her genius. Still, unaware that every word they spoke was sealing their fate, she noted the hidden clauses meant to strip her control, the staged politeness that felt like poison wrapped in silk, and she understood this was not partnership but an attempt to buy her brilliance and bury it under their legacy. So she began to shift, gathering every detail, every insult, every number into a quiet storm that promised an ending no one in that room could predict. The negotiations moved deeper as daylight fell against tall windows, and the family's lawyers tried to corner her with smooth language while the heirs smirked behind polished glasses, believing they controlled every piece of the board. But she watched patiently, letting them present their terms first. Their proposal offered money, but demanded silence, demanded surrender, demanded that she step back while they harvested her future. Yet she remained calm and asked precise questions that revealed their dependency on her technology, exposing that their wealth without her innovation was merely an aging empire waiting to collapse. Their charm began to slip and frustration surfaced. So the patriarch leaned forward and reminded her that many, like her, never made it this far, expecting fear, but she answered with a quiet revelation, pulling out reports, emails, and supply records linking their company to secret deals that harmed small communities, and the room froze, the family's smiles dissolving as their own paperwork turned into chains, binding them to truth. She told them that before accepting any agreement, she would require public accountability, community protection, and fair trade policies. And their shock turned to anger when she explained that the world would know if they refused. Fingers trembled as the heirs exchanged anxious glances. The lawyers whispered about damage control, but she spoke over them, detailing how her company held patents they desperately needed, how she had already prepared partnerships with their rivals, and how this table no longer represented a gift to her but a lifeline for them. They tried intimidation, tried flattery, tried to twist her narrative into a debt she owed them, yet every attempt fell silent as she calmly revealed that the press outside had been sent anonymous documents showing evidence of corruption and discrimination, waiting only for her signal to publish. The family, now cornered, begged to restructure the deal quietly, but she raised her hand and said the decision was no longer about money but about dignity, then stepped back as their fragile empire shook beneath the truth, watching their pride melt into fear while she prepared her final move. In the final moment, as their voices scrambled for mercy and excuses, she stood without trembling and announced that the $900 million deal was canceled, her voice cutting through the room like a closing door. Their faces drained of color as they realized the woman they mocked now held their future in her hands, and she walked away, while calls from investors erupted. Reporters broadcast the scandal, and small communities finally saw justice reach the towers that once ignored their suffering. Her company soared as new partners embraced her courage, and she used her rising power to rebuild the lives harmed by the family's greed, proving that success without conscience was only a shadow. When she looked back, she felt no regret, only quiet victory, knowing she had risen not by becoming like them, but by standing unbroken. And the world remembered her name not as someone who took their money, but as the CEO who walked away and changed everything.